All right, guys, it's Paul Singh, the market speculator with bullsonwallstreet.com. We've got the weekly swing trade report for the week starting June 13th here. Let's quickly take a look at SPY here. So we had a pretty constructive week going into Friday. We tested that range here. We've been talking about this, that break of the 210 level, which we got, and we were actually even testing the the December, November 2015 highs here, and looked like we might make a push to the all-time highs around 214 from mid 2015. And Friday kind of threw a wrench in there. We were not holding the weekly here, and we got that gap down on significant volume here. So that's something to pay attention to here going into the new week. We actually lightened up and took some profits going into this in case that happened. We had a number of positions here. You can see the flagged ones here are our current positions, and we've already taken 3 off. So I didn't want to get too heavy here as we were getting very extended. Now, going into this week, we've gone from that slight bullish stance we had before to neutral here. Really tough to say. Now, overall market's still good, but tough to say if we're going to pull back a little deeper and then retest, or do we just get that momentary blip and run? Tough to say here. I would say these volume indications are not good. So we want to be a little more careful here. We actually did add a couple of shorts here with Joy, which is working out nicely here, and GWPH, which is also starting to work here. So we've balanced it where I haven't taken, aside from some aggressive extended parabolic short type setups, haven't been taking too many trend short type plays, but we figured we'd take a couple in here to balance the longs in case we get a deeper pullback. Now let's look at IWM. We always want to be comparing SPY and IWM, and IWM has actually been leading before this pullback here, which is a positive, and even the volume pattern looks better than SPY's does. So holding up nicely. We want to see that. We want to see the broad-based market, low floats, mid caps, which is what IWM represents more than SPY. So that's a good thing. Now, a few sectors that have led here, you can see here, these are the top performing sectors over the last week, and a lot of oil in here. We've got silver and gold and steel, airlines in here, which the sector doesn't look all that great, but a lot of energy here. So that's what we've been kind of keying in on, and we actually took profits into energy stocks on the move up, and I still have oil. But if we look at the energy sector, that is something we're going to be keying in on. Had this nice run, held the pullback better than some of the other commodities sectors did, and now it's pulled back again the past few days, and we're going to look for a move here. If it can recover here, get over the 9, we could enter a position, and if XLE breaks over 70, we'll look for some energy stocks to trade, or maybe just even the triple leveraged ETF. Steel sector, we can use X as our kind of guideline here. Nice move back up over the 50-day after pulling back hard, but still being at 17 here when the initial breakout was right here around 7. The pullback wasn't quite as deep as it feels when you consider where it came from. So we like the fact that it's trending over the 50-day. If we can break 18 here, I might enter steel, gold, and we'll look at JNUG and Nugget here right at these highs here. So we're going to look for the high breakout in JNUG and Nugget. So a couple of sector plays with energy, steel, and JNUG that we'll be watching going into the week. And then a few stocks in here now, on the daily swing report, we've got a ton of stock. I'm just going to pick 3 of them here. One is 2 of them here, NGBT. Now, this is in the specialty chemical sector, which is one of the top sectors in here for the week. IPO, really volatile, and be careful here, but we did consolidate in here and break out on Friday. So a little bit of a pullback here might set us up for a low risk. We set maybe a 1.5 point stop, and this thing could fly to 37 to 40 here. You never know. Low risk, high reward, but it's got to set up for us. And then HMSY, this was an earnings breakout, consolidated, broke that earnings range, and is consolidating above the 9. I would look for another kind of box play here. So we've got this box forming in here. So, might call it a flat top breakout, but around 1830, I would look for that breakout for an entry. there. Very nice looking earnings breakout continuation type play. Now the stocks we took profits in last week, WLL, good thing we did, pulled back hard. We took profits in here above 14 after an entry. I think it was in the 11s. Yelp was an earnings breakout play. So it was earnings breakout, pulled back to the 9, held nicely around 25. We exited in 2 spots here around 27 and 28, a nice $2,300 gain. So Yelp was a perfect example of that earnings breakout pullback. And then SWN, the other energy stock we were in, this was also an earnings play. I think this was the earnings breakout here, and it pulled back, held the 9. We entered in here right around 12 and took our exits. Initial exit at 15, and then as it pulled back on this day, it was looking kind of ugly, so we took the rest of the profit here in the 14s. So a nice gain there. So those were the exits for last week, some profit taking. We've got a number of positions here, both long and short. We'll see how those play out this week. And now if you're interested in the daily swing trade report, this is the weekly report. Every day, I put out a video. You get my trade alerts if I'm making a trade, and you get my focus list going into the day. We've got a monthly plan at $99 a month, and then we've got that annual plan, which is 50% off. Instead of $1,200, you only pay $599. You can go in the dashboard here, and you can see here the last trade report. This is the video, about a 5 to 10 minute video, some comments on the market, what I'm looking to do, and then my focus list for that next day. And here are some of the recent trade notifications. The trade report members get in text or email, and then you'll see the recent ones here and the recent trade reports. You can just click on and get to there. So that's it for the weekly report. I'll see you next week unless you're a member of the trade report.